What is up, y'all? It is Grant with another episode of the Group Files. But today I got my main man Dre with me.
What's happening? What's happening?
And today we will be talking about two topics and possibly one more topic. We'll be talking about Madvillany, rest in peace to MFDoom. And then also the topic of lyricism and hip hop and how I think it's the perception of it is very twisted from what it actually is. And then lastly, I would like to throw in, if we get to there, we get to there. But let me start the episode. So first thing I want to say is, like, with Madvillany, I asked this question today on Twitter, and I was like, if you could think of MFDoom's legacy to hip hop, what is it? And I think what it is like, you know how when people say, like, when Paul Wall says, like, the people's champ and everything like that, that's what I feel like MF Doom was to in the underground rap. Like, I feel like, and you know how we got the phrase that was floating around with Matt Miller when he died, calling him hip hop's little brother. I kind of feel like I feel like MF Doom is like the grand uncle or grandpa who holds all the family gatherings at his house. And like I feel like MF Doom is like just this highly likable guy. And like, of course, like, his influence on rap is undeniable, like with how people kind of carry themselves with personas. Like, I feel like he has impact on that side. Also the weight of the importance of having a one producer, one rapper collab album. I also think, and of course, like, probably the craziest mask we've ever seen. But also, and of course, like, inspiring, like, Odd Future, like specifically Earl Sweatshirt, and a lot of the underground scene we see today, like, like the Mikes, the Mobbies, the Navy Blues, like all that whole lane of rap. So, Dre, in your opinion, what is hip hop? What is MF Doom's legacy on hip hop?
I think MF Doom's legacy is to kind of piggyback on the topics that you mentioned, as far as like really creating an alter ego. Like, he's obviously not the first rapper to go by a different name, but to fully embrace like a character. I think that, was pretty influential, when I look at guys, and then kind of his reluctantness to be a part of the mainstream or be a part of like the hip hop conversations or whatever. He kind of just made his music for the people that, wanted to hear it, that underground, sample heavy hip hop, super dense in rhyme schemes and things of that nature. I think he definitely kind of had his lane and was just like, all right, I'm just going to cater to this lane. So, when you think of people like, Griselda when they were coming up, or, even Odd Future, Earl Switzer specifically, and like you mentioned, Mike's and Mavi's or whatever. And one person that I think of is Makami, where Makami kind of makes his music. He gives it straight to his consumers. And, he don't really do interviews like that. He just makes his music, does what he does, creates his art, and, moves on to the next project. So I think Doom kind of provided a modern blueprint for that, I think. So, and I think Madvillany was definitely a genre shifting album, as far as, how it was presented, and, just how it sounds, how he sounds over it. And I think his legacy is definitely embedded in the blueprint of hip hop right now.
So I feel like my second question is, if you had to give the top, if you had to make like a top 25 most essential rap albums, curating it however you like, does Madvillany make that list?
Yes. When you think about,
if you had to make a top 15, does Madvillany make that list?
Most essential, if I wanted to pick 15 albums that defines hip hop as a genre, I feel like Madvillany got to be on there. Like when you think about underground rap albums, it's like the Illmatic of underground rap albums. I feel like it's that essential.
I agree. Now, my biggest question is, who do you feel like is who do you think are the best 3 MFDoom disciples directly? Obviously, I'm outside of Earl Sweatshirt because that's the easiest one, man.
Right. Yeah, I got you. I would go Mike. Navy Blue, and I'll probably go Mavi. I think that's probably my top 3.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think that's a very, I honestly feel like it's a no-brainer because, to be honest, like I feel like you can make an argument that those 3 people are in the top 10 best rapper alive argument right now.
I don't know. They didn't make B-Dot's list, so I don't know how valid that is.
Cut it out, nigga.
But nah, I agree.
But moving on to the topic of lyricism, and I've been pretty hell-bent on this shit, man. I really don't like it. And the reason why is like I feel like people think lyricism is simply like rhyming words, and I don't agree with that. I feel like and the reason why I said this is like I feel like it's been a nod to a lot of the greatest rappers of all time, like a lot. And like I've seen people use it to slander DMX. I've seen people use it to slander Kendrick. I've seen people to use it to slander even, I'm trying to think, man, like
I see it a lot. I see it a lot for Tupac. People say, "Oh, he's not that complex and all that," and then try to discredit his abilities as a rapper. So yeah, he might be the number 1 person that I see it used against.
And let me start off by saying the words you rhyme, personally speaking to me, I don't think they matter unless you're going somewhere with it. Like I hate rhyming just to rhyme. Like I feel like that's like that's literally what people call lyrical miracle rap. Is like, okay, I'm just rapping all these words to seem flashy and people think I'm good. And then, like, what have you said? What have you said of importance? We're talking about like rap is an art form, and you need to be going somewhere with your words. So that's why, like, when people say Lupe is the greatest lyricist of all time, I'm inclined to agree because he's really good at making the most out of his words. The best rapper, this is what I say, man, like the best rappers of all time, they aren't necessarily rap about the deep stuff, but they rap about the surface level and the semi-surface level stuff very, very well. So like, that's why I said, like, if you can do something that's a surface level topic that's considered if you can rap about a certain topic very, very well, or like in an elite way, like you'd be you're gonna get the nod from a lot of people. And being hard to understand isn't a quote unquote derogatory. Being hard to understand isn't good because what's the point? Like it don't really matter if nobody trying to understand you. And that's one thing I like to say is that I hate the I hate to critique what people talk about, like, oh, this nigga ain't talking about nothing.
Because they don't understand it.
Y'all be using that with the wrong people, bro. Like
Right.
you can't use that on like a guy like Kendrick or like Lupe or like Nas or Tupac. These guys are very, very clear in what they're saying. If you were to use it on like a guy like, I guess, and excuse me, I did love his last album, but before that, very questionable. I got like Jid, where he kind of dived way too into that. Okay, I'm gonna be flashy type of pool, and then also like, you know, the King. I ain't gonna say King Los because I ain't gonna say King Los isn't easy to easy hard to understand. I just feel like King Los is more like, hey, I can rhyme these words. That's it. Like that doesn't really do anything for me. Like,
yeah, I agree. I feel like the best rappers, they know how to take a simple topic and expound on it and make it sound like in a weird way they kind of complicate a simple topic. So, like for example, a rapper can come out and say, throughout life, I say things that inspire people. And it's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. But Nas can say, through the lights, cameras, of ash, glamour, glitters, and gold, I unfold the scroll, plant seeds, the stampede, the globe. Like, when you break it down, that those two things are the same thing. Those two phrases are saying the same exact thing. He just found a way to make it sound cool as hell. And so
that's a great example, bro. That's
like
a big example. And like it's kind of like to me, I feel like getting to me, I feel like people kind of think being if I'll say this, man, most of your favorite rappers of all time are much more multifaceted than you give them credit for. Like when niggas talk about, for instance, like when I think of DMX, I feel like I think of a great songwriter and a great and somebody with great energy and great delivery and great charisma. When I think of more rappers all time check multiple boxes instead of 1 to 2 boxes or just 1 box. Because it's like when you really think about it, if you can you name a rapper that was elite at one thing and is an all-time great? Elite at one thing and nothing else. You can. You cannot. Just at one thing.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Like niggas don't say like, oh yeah, man, like, hey, if you're not an elite lyricist, you can't be this so a great time. And niggas used to do that to slight certain rappers, and I hated it because it should not. When we view all-time lists, it should be more so, or like all-time tops. It should be most rappers are jacks of all trades. Like Biggie is a 99 overall. So like that's something. But Tupac, of course, has like crazy energy, charisma, and something great to say in terms of songwriting. Every song, for most of the songs, like Nas, you just think these guys are much more like multifaceted, and I feel like that downplays rap. Like, do you know how good these niggas have to be to be able to do what they do on a microphone and to get their message across while also having to do it multiple times, like on an album and everything like that. So that's my big thing.
I agree. My thing is when people, I think people look at, in my experience in my conversations, I think people look at lyricism as one thing, and lyricism is more faceted than people like to think. And I started to see it kind of happen when Lil Wayne was starting to reach his prime. And I saw people started to use the phrase quotables. Like that was kind of like the buzzword. Like, oh, quota, give me a quotable from a verse or whatever. It went from having the best verse to having the best quotables. And it felt like quotables became the barometer for lyricism. It's like, yeah, that's a cool verse, but give me a bar. Give me 2 bars out of it. And it's like,
I feel like
that's, go
and, I,
ahead.
and if I'm being real, I feel like that ruined rap conversations to exist. Because if something is all, because it means everything that's quotable isn't, everything that's quotable that isn't good. That's my thing. Like I can, something notable or something easily recognizable doesn't make it good. And like,
Yeah, right.
and as much as I am not using this to slander Drake, nor am I using it to support him. But I'll say this: like when Drake has a lot of bars that are like, okay, this is quotable. When I be my quotable, it's like, okay, this is a really good bar that tells me what Drake is all about. People be picking the wrong fucking stuff, bro. Like, this is my thing, bro. When you got quotables, dog, like, at least put the good shit. Like, for instance, like, I'll put it like this. Drake got some quotables on, like, all of his timestamp tracks.
Right.
Like, those are quotables. Don't quote the bad shit. Like, Kendrick, for instance, he got, and this is something I first of all, like, I don't know how people even did this, but like people be talking about like Kendrick ain't got no quotables. I'm
Ain't
like,
got no quotables. Oh,
what
my
the fuck are you talking about? Like, but even Cole got quotables. Like, dog, like Two-Face, that song is full of quotables. Like, I'm just like, y'all, quotables, people think quotables are IG captions, man, and I'm tired of it, bro. Like, it's much bigger than that, dog. Like, and it's not about the lyricism. And one thing I like to say about lyricism before we go is that people punchline, a rapper that is too dependent on punchlines and metaphor, well, punchlines specifically, and nothing else is gonna be bad. Like, that's the difference between I hate to say it, but I'm sorry, you catching me straight. That's, Big Sean and a 2 Chainz, or Big Sean and Lil Wayne or something like that. Like, that's my thing.
I feel like when it comes to, because I was gonna bring up Lil Wayne, and as far as punchlines, I feel like the more Lil Wayne started to rely on punchlines, the worse he got. Like when you listen to Carter 2, yeah, he had punchlines, he had all that, but it was different flows. He was flowing over the beat differently. He was picking different beats to rap over and things of that nature. And specifically when the Carter 4, it's like every other bar he was trying to throw a punchline, try to force some wordplay on you and, quotables. So I guess Carter 4 got more quote unquote quotables, but he not rapping as good, so I feel like people kind of look at the quotables or bars and they judge lyricists off of that. And I feel like that's such a flawed way to look at lyricists. I mean, Scarface is a lyricist. That nigga ain't no punchlines. It ain't really no super complex wordplay. That nigga just gonna give you a story, give you his feelings, his emotions, and he gonna do it in an elite way. He gonna tell a story, and that's why he's one of the greatest of all time without relying on punchlines. And Kendrick don't have to rely on punchlines. And arguably Wayne, when he's really at his best, is not relying on punchlines. But I've started to, like, over the past, this has been going on for a minute, probably like past 5-6 years, I've noticed the conversation kind of starting to shift from who had the best verse versus who had the most quotable verse. And I feel like that's just such a flawed way to look at rapping and lyricism from my perspective.
The way we look at rap, the way the rap discussed in general, it's becoming less of the sport and more so like, hey man, like, let's talk about something that has absolutely, it's just like, I said it too many times before, I'm gonna say it again, bro. Rap discourse is coming so much like those big talk shows on ESPN, like First Take and shit like that. Like it's just hot take stuff. That's why I always appreciate shows like, for instance, like Rap Caviar, for instance. Like I don't really hear like them blurring hot takes the entire time for me. So my big thing about that is your favorite rapper all the time is most likely a multifaceted talent versus somebody that's good at one thing. So, and a multi-influence person. That's one thing I don't like as well. Is like people act like people can only have they only have one, 3 clear-cut influences in their rap career, and that's it. Like I can easily say, oh, Kendrick biggest inspiration is Lil Wayne, but no, it's much more than that. It's like Kendrick is Lil Wayne, he is Tupac, he's Andre 3000, he's Fonte, he's Nas, he's so many of these things. And like, for instance, Drake, he's much more than just Lil Wayne. He's Lil Wayne, he's Fonte, he's Joe Budden, he's
yeah, Jay-Z.
He's a lot. He's Jay-Z. Like the Jay-Z one, like he is. I don't see how people don't. That's the man. That one shows the most, like, out of all of his. Like I feel like modern Drake, like, is heavily influenced by Jay-Z. Like it's
for sure.
Like the bragging raps, the luxury stuff. Like, come on, like, yes, but
it's hard to find a rapper that ain't influenced by Jay-Z at this point.
Yep, it really is. If you bragging and you flexing your material possessions, everything like that, like you influenced by Jay-Z somehow, to me at least. But my final topic I wanted to talk about was so we know last episode we talked about industry plants. And this is my quick little side note. Them 2 girls that rapping and running and stuff like that, y'all need to calm down, bro. It is not that serious. Like, yes, you could say the song just not good, but like, and somebody pointed this out on Twitter today, and I'm so glad they said it. But they said the difference between an industry plant and someone who's not an industry plant isn't that they're signed to a label. It's the way they came up. Are you coming up organically, or are you coming up as somebody that for, like, you're signed to a label and you're just hiding it? Like, those girls didn't hide that. Like they struck while the iron was hot, and also they marketed their ass off. Like that's what promos, and that's my big thing. Like the art of promotion is such a lost art. Like it's like the knee-jerk reaction to that is like so relevant for the landscape today. Like when you see something much in your face. Like back then, like back in the day, like for instance, if a rapper was promoting an album or something like that, and you heard a bunch of singles or like you saw a bunch of cover art and everything, like it didn't really get your nerves like that. But the way social media is now and the amount of we consume, like I can see how it's annoying, but at the same time, like I don't get why a rapper. Well, I think it's just Twitter. Like Twitter's just an extremely negative place. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, like, but I applaud those girls for doing several types of promotion for their music. Like
just being creative.
Being creative, like yes,
that's
like,
the main thing. It's like
it's eye catching. Like why I can't get mad at that. Like it's better. And I'm gonna say this: if you call me if you say I'm pandering, like I don't care. But like I would much rather watch that than a bunch of niggas standing around, flexing guns, and just taking the video in the middle of the street all the damn time. Like I love creative music videos. Like I feel like that type of thing is just burnt out. Like,
well, when
it's burnt. No, I'm not gonna say this is what I think. Like, I think it's burnt out because I personally don't take a liking to the music, I guess. But like, my thing is like, there's still room for creative music videos in any other space. Like, well, let me rephrase my whole thing. It's not that I hate that. I think it's okay. But at the same time, I don't like people attacking people for doing something different. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like, I say this, like, Tony Snow had a video a couple weeks ago that was very interesting. And it had a bunch of effects and everything like that. It wasn't just it just wasn't a regular music video to me. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. This makes me want to watch this. Like, I'm just tired of seeing things that I've seen a million times. And like, I think Bow Wow made a great point with this. And I feel like it speaks on the mainstream landscape a lot. The lack of originality. Like, for instance, everybody doing so many people. Well, basically, to me, the mainstream male rapper is doing the same thing over and over again. It's very hard, and lack of people are doing what people are doing. They're not really trying to differentiate themselves. So it kind of that rhetoric and narrative kind of spreads to the whole landscape, and it's kind of like, man, rap is in a bad place, everything like that. No, it's not. Rap not in a bad place. It's specifically, to me at least, it's mainstream male rap and shitty remakes. And when you watch TV and game like TV now, it's you can kind of see the parallel. So my big thing is just that y'all complain about something, and I feel like you blaming it too much on everybody instead of the actual culprits. But that's my thing.
Yeah, I feel that. I think as far as the two girls, I feel like it's creative, it's eye catching. It's like you see two girls running and rapping, that immediately is gonna catch your eye. Like, what's going on here? Like this, nobody else is doing this. Like what's really going on? And then they're doing it in different places. And I mean, I don't know whose idea was that, but that's some pretty good marketing. I'm not crazy over the song, but I mean, it don't bother me. And I already knew, like, once I kept seeing it on my timeline, I tweeted, I was like, y'all gonna hate tweeting them into a new record deal or whatever. And they blowing up by the minute or whatever. But yeah, I feel like we don't really get like errors, like artists going through errors. Like Tyler the Creator still does it, Kendrick still does it. Kanye, was big on it or whatever, as far as like during this album cycle, I'm promoting it this way. I'm making music that sounds like this. Kanye and, I'm dressing like this, I'm wearing my hair like this for the next year to promote this project or whatever. And we don't really, you know, it seemed like we don't get that level of effort no more. And I think it's probably just another effect of streaming. You know, music is becoming more disposable, more accessible, and you know, album sales are going down by the year. So, you know, labels, I guess labels like, shoot, why are we gonna have $1 million marketing budget for an album that probably ain't really gonna sell? If this was
And I think,
2002, go ahead.
and the thing is, with fans, it's kind of like, what I was gonna say, man. Like, I feel like with so many niche fan bases and everything like that, you got so many people kind of doing their own. They doing a promo for them.
Uh-huh.
They doing a promo for them. And in closing, I'm gonna say, like, I feel like this writer's strike is gonna have a ripple effect on music too.
Mm.
That's what I think.
How so?
I think it will start with producers, and I feel like some form of for like engineers, producers to not be getting ripped off by rappers. I feel like it's bound to happen. I think it's long overdue, honestly.
Mm. I feel it, but we got to get some. There has to be some type of unity within music. I think one of the cool kids tweeted today.
Chuck
He
England?
was yeah. He tweeted today. That's probably like an hour ago. He was talking about like there's we gotta artists gotta start coming together or whatever and really trying to, you know, change. He said he did a lot of work and he got like a royalty check for like $96 or whatever. There's like shit gotta change, but there's no union, there's no togetherness, there's no, you know, union to come together and be like, hey, we want this or we demand this. You know, the writers, they all came together and like, yo, we not writing no more until this shit changed. So niggas just gotta come together, man.
Yeah, man. I agree. But that's it for this episode. We appreciate you guys. Let me know what you want for the next episode in the comments. But other than that, we out.
Yes, sir.